All right, so we got to talk about Aidan Hutchinson. Last night, Lions-Cowboys game, seeing that car, it's just one of those images, right?
Yeah.
Gets seared into your memory. And I know a lot of us, a lot of fans, we all felt that same, like, gut punch watching it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going deep on this one, exploring the full weight of what that moment means, not just for Hutchinson's season, but potentially for this whole Lions team.
Yeah, it's easy to just get caught up in the immediate aftermath of an injury like that, but you're right. This has layers to it. What looked like just another routine football injury at first glance anyway is actually far more serious, and the implications, they go way beyond just the medical reports.
Exactly. So set the scene for us here.
Yeah.
Week 7.
Yeah.
Lions versus Cowboys. And surprise, surprise, the Lions are actually dominating before the injury. I mean, they were putting on a clinic out there.
Right.
Then, boom, third quarter, Hutchinson goes down. And what makes this so unsettling, at least to me, is that it wasn't even from a direct hit.
Yeah. And that's where it gets really interesting, I think, from a medical perspective. We see these devastating, these high-impact collisions all the time in football, obviously.
Right.
But this was different. This was a freak accident. It was a collision with a teammate. And those can be surprisingly dangerous.
Yeah, it looked like he just got tangled up with his own teammate, trying to chase down, I think it was Dak Prescott, and basically ran full speed into his teammate's shin.
Yeah.
Brutal. And the internet, as you might imagine, is a flurry of speculation. People are calling it a potential career ender.
Yeah.
Which feels extreme, but then again, you see those lower leg injury.
And they're scary, right, because of the mechanics involved. When we're talking potential tibia-fibula fracture, that's not a sprain. That's not something you ice and walk off. We're talking surgery. We're talking extensive rehab, a long, long uphill battle back to form.
And it feels like everyone's holding their breath right now. I was reading through some fan comments earlier, and the sense of dread is palpable. One fan even wrote, and I quote, "That's 100% emergency surgery right away. Holy S, man. This is career and life-altering."
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's understandable. This goes so much deeper than just the physical healing process. There's the psychological impact, the potential for lingering doubt, not just for Hutchinson, but for his teammates who witnessed it firsthand. It's hard to overstate the toll something like that takes on a locker room.
It's got to weigh on you, right? Like, it makes you wonder about the ripple effects. We were all talking about this Lions team, their energy, their offensive firepower. Does this change things for them?
Well, it's certainly a blow. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
And it adds another layer of complexity, I think, to this whole conversation surrounding this team. Because remember, this wasn't just any game. This was against the Cowboys.
Right.
And Micah Parsons, after the game, he comes out and says, point blank, this is a rivalry.
Which is interesting, because on the surface, you hear that and you think, okay, classic Micah, stirring the pot a bit.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys have had the Lions number for years now. It's not like this back-and-forth nail-biting history that usually defines a rivalry.
Exactly. Think about some of the great NFL rivalries, Packers-Bears, Steelers-Ravens, Cowboys-Redskins back in the day. These were clashes of titans, right?
Yeah.
Fueled by years of animosity, iconic moments, those down-to-the-wire finishes that leave you breathless. It's about more than just wins and losses. It's about a legacy of competition, a shared narrative that both teams are constantly writing.
So the question becomes, did Parsons see something in this Lions team, even before Hutchinson's injury, that made him believe this could be different, that this matchup was evolving into something more?
Well, let's look at his words. He called them a great team, praising their dynamic offense, singling out DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams as this devastating 1-2 punch. And he clearly sees the talent in Amon-Ra St. Brown, calling him, and I quote, about as explosive and shifty as a receiver can get. Which, coming from a defensive player of Parsons' caliber, I mean, that's high praise.
And of course, he acknowledged Hutchinson's impact, calling him a Defensive Player of the Year level talent.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to this injury. Because now it's not just about the Lions proving they can hang with the Cowboys. It's about proving they can do it without their defensive anchor.
And that's where the real intrigue lies, I think. How does this injury change the narrative? Does it galvanize the Lions to rally around their fallen teammate? Or does it expose a vulnerability that the Cowboys can exploit?
It's almost like Hutchinson's injury throws gasoline on this whole rivalry debate, doesn't it? It raises the stakes, adds a layer of emotion and uncertainty that we didn't have before. It's like there's this whole other dimension to the story now. We were so focused on what the Lions were building, this whole idea of them as a legitimate contender, and now the question is, can they? Can they weather the storm? You know?
Yeah, and that's what makes rivalries so captivating, right? They're pressure cookers for these kinds of narratives. They magnify every win, every loss, every injury. Every single moment becomes a chapter in this larger story.
It's true. Think about those classic rivalry games,
Mm.
the ones that really stick with you for years. They're usually defined by these turning points,
Mhm.
these moments of adversity that either make or break a team,
Right.
you know?
And you have to wonder, will this be one of those moments for the Lions?
Right.
Will they rally in Hutchinson's absence and prove that Parsons' rivalry comment was more than just talk? Or will this be a setback that they just can't overcome, a turning point in the wrong direction?
Man, so much to unpack here. We've got the human cost of this brutal injury, the potential long-term impact on Hutchinson's career, and then this whole rivalry element that just got a shot of adrenaline. It's a lot to process.
It is. It really is. And it reminds us that as much as we analyze and predict, sports always finds a way to surprise us. It's a reminder that there's a human element to all of this, a story that goes beyond the X's and O's.
And that's what we'll be watching closely, right? To
Okay.
see how this impacts not just the standings, but the spirit of this team, the trajectory of this budding rivalry. Because this incident, as heartbreaking as it is, it reveals something powerful about sports, doesn't it?
Hmm.
This raw reminder that triumph and tragedy, they often walk hand in hand. And sometimes it's these unexpected moments that define an entire season, an entire era.